Hi foodies, happy Friday. Let's make some delicious sweet and sour pork. So guys, as far as the cut of pork, you could use pork loin, pork tenderloin. I have pork shoulder chops, that's what I'm using. So it does have quite a bit of marbling, there's some fat. And the thing with pork shoulder, it's not as tender as a tenderloin. However, there are ways to get this nice and tender. One of the ways is just tenderizing with your meat mallet. All right, so pounding all of this, getting it nice and tender before cutting it up. That's one way. The other way is velveting. This is when you soak the meat in a mixture of baking soda and water, and that just helps to tenderize. Then you rinse off that solution and go ahead and season your food. So that's one way. I've done this on my channel before for chicken, and so you can do that. Another way is the way you cut the pork. So of course you're going to cut it in strips, right? And then you're going to be cutting across. However, one other way to get this tender is look at those muscle fibers in the meat. You'll see some little lines running across. Cut in the opposite direction. When you do that, then you're cutting through those fibers. That helps to get the meat tender. Now this is fatty. I cut off some of the fat, but I'm leaving some because I'm gonna be frying it, and that fat is gonna help with flavor and tenderness. You can cut off all the fat if you want, okay? So I added my solution of baking soda and water, and we're gonna soak this for about 15 minutes. Then we will rinse it off, pat dry, and season. So for seasoning, I'm adding some soy sauce. I'll go in with onion powder, garlic powder, ginger powder, and black pepper. And then I'm gonna add a beaten egg. Okay, very simple. You can add a little salt if you want, but the soy sauce is salty, remember that. Stir all of this together. And then we're gonna add some cornstarch, okay? If you use the pork tenderloin, you might not have to do those techniques to tenderize, okay? Just get into the step of seasoning. So after that, we're gonna coat in some cornstarch. That's what I have here. Cornstarch, it's great for crispiness. You can use regular flour if that's what you have, but cornstarch is really good for crispiness. Press it into the pork, squeeze it, make sure it's coated thoroughly. Then after that, you can go ahead and fry, right? It's gonna look like this because the cornstarch is absorbing all of that moisture. You can go ahead and fry it now, but for extra crispy pork, you can dip it again in the cornstarch. So that's a double coating to make it very crispy. I am going to fry this for 3 minutes at 350. And that's what it looks like. It's gonna look pale. It won't look as golden as, when you're doing your fried chicken. After those minutes, you're going to lift it out, let it sit for a minute, and then turn up the temperature to 370 and fry it for 1 minute. All right. While that's going, let's do the sweet and sour sauce. Ketchup, sugar, rice vinegar. You can use apple cider, and then some soy sauce. Going in with pineapple juice and our thickener, cornstarch. Now sometimes I do it differently. Sometimes I'll do everything on the stove and then add a slurry to the pot. This is another way of doing it. So I'm gonna go in and cook some ginger in oil. So this is oil in my pan. I'm gonna be cooking the ginger just for a few seconds. All right. And then this is gonna give it lots of flavor. You can add a little garlic if you want to. Then let's go in with the veggies. So I love my sweet and sour nice and colorful. So this is onion and peppers. Sometimes you can add some tomato if you want to. Stir these around, and then we're not gonna overcook them because we want them to be crunchy. You want them to be a little bit firm when you're done. You don't want them to be too soft. So once they are fragrant, right, we are going to be adding that mixture. And once you pour this in, guys, you're going to simmer this for about 3 minutes. If you feel like it is too thick, go ahead and add more pineapple juice. So make sure you have lots of pineapple juice on hand. Just add more pineapple juice and then taste it. See if you need any vinegar or sugar. Then you can add your pineapple. All right, you can cube it, you can dice it finely. I cut it into triangles. It's really up to you. Then I'm gonna go in with just a little bit of sesame seed oil. This is just a preference for a little of that flavor because I like it. All right, so simmer this, and once it is nice and glossy and the flavor is sweet and sour, of course, what else could it be? Then we're gonna take our pork out of that deep fryer, and then we're gonna put it into the sauce. Guys, please remember to check the description box. I leave details in the description box, okay? So the sauce is good. We're just gonna toss the pork in it. No need to keep the flame on, okay? You could even take it off the stove completely. Just toss everything together, and you wanna serve it immediately, okay? And look at this, beautiful, so nice. It's tender because of all those techniques we used, and then the little fat that was still attached to the pork. It's so tender, but the outside is crispy, and that sauce, guys, so good. Now let me show you this, guys. Sometimes when you buy Chinese food, you get these packets. Don't throw them out, save them, because plum sauce is something you can add to your sweet and sour sauce. For example, if right now you realize that, I need just a little more liquid, you can just squirt a few of these into the pot, stir it around, and you're good to go. Don't throw out these plum sauce packets. They actually taste really nice in the sweet and sour sauce. So if you have a bunch of these in your cupboard, you can start cutting them and just use them in the sauce instead of throwing it out, or instead of buying a jar. Or if you prefer, you can buy a jar of plum sauce and add some to your sweet and sour sauce. Just another element of flavor. It really works. That's it. Simple, sweet and sour pork. Absolutely delicious. Check out my video for sweet and sour chicken. It's pretty similar. I just like to show you guys, different ways of doing the same thing. So I have a sweet and sour sauce video as well. You can check that out. I love to give you guys options so you can choose what techniques suit you best, what steps suit you best. But give it a try. Come back and let me know what you think, guys. I will see you next time.